Okay, so in a previous video, we talked about how to set some Windows Defender options, some security settings on our own local operating system, but we probably don't want to do that on every single device if we have a fairly large network. So what we typically want to do with that is we want to do something with group policy. If we're on a domain-based network, group policies can be set in one place and pushed out to every single device on our network, server or client. Now, that becomes very, very beneficial when we want to have standardized security policies. So, again, there's tons of options here. We're not going to hit all of them, but I do want to show you where a few things are at. So I'm going to go to, on my server, I'm going to go to Tools and Group Policy Management. All right, now as you remember, this is where we manage our group policies. Group policies have no purpose until they are linked to either a domain, a site, or an organizational unit. And so here you'll see our domain, and this is a linked group policy, the default domain policy. And then we have one OU here, domain controllers. And again, all of this is default. Microsoft builds this when we install Active Directory and join or create a new Forester domain. And then here's our default domain controllers policy. We can also come here to group policy objects, and this will show us our policies regardless of where they are linked. So if you want to find a policy quickly, that's a convenient way to do it. If you want to find what policies apply to an organizational unit or a domain, you look up here to find it. Okay, now let's talk about some group policy options. Now, what we would probably do, my recommendation would be not to modify the default domain policy or the default domain controllers policy. There's a couple of places where we might do that, but for this, I wouldn't do that. I would create a new group policy object. So I'm going to right click and click on new group policy, and I'm going to call this Defender. And no starter GPO, so I'm going to click OK. That way I can play with this one and then just delete it when I'm done and I haven't actually heard anything. So I'm going to right click and I'm going to edit my GPO. Now again, I'm not going to go everywhere for all of the settings, but I do want to give you an idea of some of the big ones. So let's do this. Let's go to computer configuration, and then I want to expand policies, administrative templates, system, and device guard. There's our device guard, and we have two settings in here, and both of these are for different components of Windows Defender that we need to be aware of. So Windows Defender application control. So I'm going to double click on that. It's easier for me, you get information here, but for me it's easier if I double click on it. And then this gives me my options. Not configured means don't care. Enabled says yes, I want to do this. Disabled says no, I don't want to do this. And most things are going to be set to not configured. And if no policies have anything configured, then it just goes to default. Enabling says I want to turn this option on and I want to control this particular setting. Here in the help, it explains the policy or explains what the policy does, including how to use it. So it will give you an idea right here, will tell you the type of information you need to put in here. All right, so if I want to turn on Windows Defender Application Guard, I'm going to need an XML file that's my integrity file, and I don't have one of those set up. There are some defaults. If you're interested, they are in, we're going to test my memory and see if I can remember it. They are in C drive, Windows, schemas, code integrity, example policies. And here are a bunch of example policies, and they're all in XML format. Now, as the help thing said, you probably want to copy these to a share so that all of the servers or all of the devices can get to it on a UNC path. That's how you'd want to do it. But here are some policies you can actually begin with. Copy one to a shared location, and then say yes, enable it, and type in the UNC path here. And that will turn on the Windows Defender application guard for any device that is impacted by this policy. I'm going to go ahead and cancel that because I don't have one set up that I can use. But let's take a look at our other one here. Turn on virtualization-based security. And again, this will tell you a little bit more about it. Enabled, disabled, select platform security level, and I'm going to just enable it. And then you can see right here what your options are, including Credential Guard, which is another component of Windows Defender. And as you go through here, it'll tell you a little bit more about what all of these are, including right here, here's Credential Guard. I'll let you read through that on your own. I just wanted you to see where it was at. Okay, there's some other places where I can, I'm going to go ahead and turn that one on just because I want to show you something here in a minute. Let me just enable, and I'm going to go with the default options there. Okay, another place we can look is going to be, let me collapse this, Windows Components, and then under Windows Components, I want to find Microsoft Defender Antivirus. And here are my options, including allow anti-malware startup with normal priority, turn off. You get the idea. There's a bunch of things here. I'm going to set to allow this to remain always running. And then more options up here. Again, I'm not going to go through all of them. I wanted to point out where it was at. And then we also have the exploit guard right below that. And here is our exploit protection options. And we can use a common set of exploit protection settings, which again is going to be dependent on a file name. Okay, so this just shows you where to find some of those. Notice we haven't looked at firewalls yet. Those can be managed here as well. Managed through group policies. But why we would want to do this is this will allow us to configure our security settings and then have them delivered via group policy. And you'll notice we've been doing this under the computer component or computer configuration rather than the user configuration. This way it's going to apply to all computers regardless of who logs into them. All right, now I'm going to close this, and this will save some of my settings here, and I can see my Defender. And from my Defender, now I can right-click on it and edit it, but all right, let me see if I can pull up my Defender policy. There we go. Double-click on my Defender. Now I have it. Right here, you can see the settings. So I can click on settings, and you may get an alert saying, hey, this is not trusted. Do you want to allow it? And you'll say allow, and it'll be fine. And then I can click right here. You'll see I have hide or show. If I click on show, it's going to show me all of my settings that I've just created. Now, these make absolutely no sense. They accomplish nothing until I link them to a organizational unit or a domain. So if I link them to the organizational unit, then because I made all of these changes in right here, computer configuration, not in user configuration, I need to link them to an OU that contains computers, or I can link it to the domain. So I could come up here and I could right click, link an existing GPO, give me my Defender one, and now any computers that are part of my domain will get those particular settings. Okay, there we go. Now, we'll talk more about GPOs in other videos, but I wanted to show you real quick where some of those security and Windows Defender settings were at. So you could go back to those locations, go through all of the settings, find the exact policies you want for your network, and then link them. And depending on how you have your network set up, if you link it to the domain, it's going to impact all of your domain controllers as well. So maybe you don't want to do that. Maybe you want to link it only to specific devices. So then you'd link it to an OU that has those computer objects in it. But there you go. Now you know how to find and then set and apply settings for Windows Defender to all devices in your organization.